What's up, everyone? PokeEyeDoc here, and I know what you're wondering. How the heck are you supposed to buy Pokemon cards in this market, right? You're not an influencer, so people aren't just offering you good deals. You have a job, so you can't just stop at Target or Walmart when these drops happen. And let's be honest, you're limited on funds, right? And so, how are you supposed to get really good deals? I got 4 easy tips that I'm going to share with you that I do, and hopefully, I can save you some time because when I first got into this market, I made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned pretty quickly how to not make these mistakes over and over again. And so here, we're just going to get straight into it. I'm not going to waste your time. So the first thing, as you can see up here, I've got TCG pulled up. If you don't know the site, it's a site that everyone uses. Eventually, you'll get used to it because every influencer you're going to watch is going to use the same site. And I pulled up Ascended Heroes because this is the hottest thing, right? If you're new to this market, this is the thing that probably brought you into the market, at least recently. So this is a case of ETBs. So these little boxes here. And this is what I do. I leave up a tab for TCG pretty much every day. And I pick the product that I'm looking at. So for right now, I'm going to be honest, this isn't something I'm really looking at, but I'm always looking for good deals. So what I do is I go down here and I look at the pricings for these. And right now they're all around $2,000, and they've been like this for a while. But the secret to this is if you just check like once in the morning and once in the afternoon or once in the evening, whenever you have a chance, sometimes you're going to see someone's going to put up a cheaper deal that they're just trying to get rid of their product. And so, first thing you want to do is pick a price point that you're willing to pay. And so, for like an ETB right now, a good deal is probably like 1,800 or 1,700. If that's a good deal for you, then I would look at these and then I would wait for that to happen because chances are it's going to happen. If you're patient and you wait long enough, it will pop up and you will see a better deal than what you're seeing for the average prices here. But you also want to pay attention and read these words because sometimes the cheaper ones are sometimes like a different language or something wrong, open boxes, stuff like that. So just pay attention to those little things. But just keep the tab open, check it periodically, and then you're probably going to eventually see a really good deal. All right, tip number 2, eBay. All right, and so we just had a recent drop. People got good hits on the Sam's Club drop. So I'll pull this up because this is a good example. Because you, at this point, if you're pretty new and you're trying to get some tips, this is something you've heard a lot of people talk about, and you're like, how do I get my hands on it, right? Well, the TCG and this way are two easy methods you can just sit at home and do absolutely nothing. And so there's two ways to go about it. The first thing, which doesn't really take, the first thing I do is I treat this the same way I treat the TCG player. I set my location to in the US. I switched the best match to, I prefer like highest. And so and I'll tell you why I select highest. And then I click on buy now. And then this will just kind of sort the prices out for you. And the reason why I do highest when I go here, right now this is kind of crazy because there's a lot. But it will show you the highest and you can immediately go down to the lowest if you just go to the end. But what I'd like to see is sometimes people put deals on here for 2 or 3 or 4. And so you might can get a better average cost if you're actually looking at these in a good manner, right? And then of course, another way is like, always just see the cheapest one too. So sometimes people will just want to get rid of it and they'll put it up there. But the thing with eBay, you always want to make sure you're looking at the sellers that have good reputable. They sold a couple of stuff, because if it says they haven't sold anything or they've got bad remarks, you might want to be careful because it's probably a scam. I got scammed once, long time ago last year, and I learned my lesson with that too. So just always pay attention to who you're buying from, and don't just buy it immediately. So make sure they've got some good reviews, or at least sold something before. If they haven't, eBay's got a pretty good condition where you can probably get your money back if you want to take that risk. All right, the other thing you can do is like auctions. Auctions are pretty cool because one is they're kind of annoying, but but they can be pretty cool is if you actually watch them sometimes. If you wait till last minute, you might be able to snag just under like market price, especially when the market is not as hot as this. And so like last year around like December, November, the market was kind of in a little bit of a downturn at the time. Market went down like 20 or 30%. And that's when I got in. I didn't realize it, but that's when I got in at the time. And you could snag some really good deals in auctions because they weren't meeting the full market value because the market value was kept going down. And people didn't want to take as much risk. And so auctions can be really good too because you might be able to just snag a good price it is kind of annoying because you have to look and figure out what the timing is going to be. They're usually at night, depending on if you live on East Coast, West Coast, it could be pretty annoying. But that's another way that you can kind of use eBay. But I don't use auctions. I usually mostly just look at the buy it now and just kind of like scan the prices. But TCG right now is the thing I usually do the most. The other thing you can do, of course, is Facebook. Now, this method is not for, it is not the easiest way. It can be kind of annoying because you're going to have to go to Facebook Marketplace, look up the thing you're looking at. So if you want Prismatic, you're going to go to Prismatic and if it, you're going to try to shoot for deals, right? So people are going to put their price on there, and then you're going to probably ask for a lower price. And chances are most people right now are saying no. But what I have learned is sometimes after you buy one thing from someone, when they have another item, as long as you're willing to like, pay same day, you can probably get some better deals. I've ran into a lot of situations where like I bought one thing at fair market price, and then when I get to them, I ask them or they let me know they have other stuff, and they're usually willing to give me like a better price on other products that they have that I'm interested in too. And so don't be scared to like buy things at market value because like you can probably build some connections doing that. Now the downside of Facebook Marketplace, of course, if you have a gas car, you're probably gonna be paying some high gas, but and then of course if you're not social, it can be kind of daunting to go out and like talk to people. But again, if I'm going to be honest with you, I know there's a lot of bad things you see probably on the internet, but like when I interact with these people, I've never had a bad experience or a weird experience with anyone. Just make sure you meet at a good public place. They seem decent when they're texting you, and you're probably going to be fine. But the main thing is just meet at a public place. Meet at somewhere that you're willing to be comfortable. I usually let people pick, so it makes them feel more comfortable, and then I usually go to those places, whatever they picked, as long as I too feel comfortable too. But I'll let them usually pick first, and then I kind of go from there. But my situation is a little different with driving because I don't really pay for gas. And so, all right. And then the last thing, I don't really have a picture, but I have this up here because Chaos Rise is cool and everyone likes it. It's a new thing. I do the same thing on TCG. Go here, look at these prices, and then find the lowest one. Right now, anything like 300, 1,300 or less is usually what I buy. But the last thing you can do is your local LGS, which is your local game store. So your places that sell cards, sell Pokemon cards. The good thing about those places is sometimes there's two. Sometimes they're too overwhelmed and they don't keep up with their pricing. And then it gives you a golden opportunity to, unfortunately, take advantage of them. Now, smaller ones, I've been to some games places that do to stay on top of it. They'll pull out their phone, look at the market pricing, and kind of do that. But there are some, if you go and find you one, there's some that really don't keep up with the immediate changes that are happening. They have their sticker up there. They don't really go past looking at that sticker that they put up a couple of days ago, and then they'll kind of just sell it to you. So you might have some opportunities. I know that's getting a little harder over time, but I'm going to admit, I got some good deals, especially from the SBCs and Prismatic bundles. And so when market price for bundles are like 75, I was still able to buy some of them for 55 because the game store that I went to wasn't really keeping track of the current market that had just changed. And eventually they usually catch up and they'll do it, but some of these LGSs don't, and that makes it a great opportunity. But anyway, those are my 4 tips for anyone that's like new to the hobby or trying to just figure out ways to just buy products without having to spend like exact market value. Because like honestly, if you're going to a card shop or a card show, they're not budging. They're expecting to get deals off of you. So this is another technique for you to, make it more fair for yourself too. Because unfortunately, right now, it's not fair for anyone that's trying to get into either investing Pokemon cards or you want to flip yourself and you don't really have opportunity to just go scout. Anyway, thank you for your time. Consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.